Hello, welcome back to Access. My name is Nathan. I'm here with Dave.
Hello.
Dave, is that time of year when we get to talk about new FIFA.
Yes, a very exciting time for everybody.
They're calling this one FIFA 18.
FIFA 18?
I know.
Where did they pluck that from?
I've got no idea, man. But this is, so I've been to play it for a few hours. They've showed me presentation on all the big changes for this year, and I got to play it for a few hours. So this is 7 changes you've been waiting for.
Okay.
Which is one of the things that we normally do. And I want to say up top, actually, that this is quite harder to put together than normal. Not because there aren't any changes, but just because they haven't really arranged them in kind of the glamorous, bullet pointy way that they often do. I mean, there was a bit of that, but it seemed to be a bit harder for them to do that. And I see that as a good thing.
Yeah.
Because it feels like they're just addressing stuff which maybe is harder to build into a big, exciting point, but which is actually stuff that needs to be fixed.
A lot of refining.
Yeah, exactly. And there was, well, let's get down to the refining.
Okay.
And just a quick note, Dave, on what people are going to be watching during this video. We have put the FIFA 18 trailer on there just to give you a taste, but that is all that we have currently. So after that, it is just Jay, my son, smashing up Arsenal with Tottenham, which I thought we'd all appreciate.
I'll certainly enjoy it.
And that's on FIFA 17. So number 1 is just that all over, the player control is more responsive, on and off the ball.
Okay.
And there's a specific... I mean, they do that every year, obviously. I mean, like, this is something which they're always trying to do. They're always trying to make it so that it feels, you know, there's less input lag, and the players are moving in exactly the way that you're kind of imagining them moving. But one of the specific technical points that they raised this time, which I kind of wanted to tell you guys, was that it used to be, in the animations for when players are running, they were able to blend into a different animation if you change direction once every step.
Right.
And now they've had this big engine overhaul so that they can do it once every frame.
Wow, that sounds like a big deal.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it does help partly with, you know, you can more accurately push the players in like places on the pitch that you want them to, and they're going to be able to change direction faster for you. But also it's going to just look a lot better. Like they were saying, they do this every year, and I mention it every year, but they show you the bits of FIFA 17 or the previous year's game that you already know, you know, after a few hours play, we're like, yeah, what's happening?
Yeah.
And it was kind of slightly robotic rotations when a ball is kind of in the air, or when you're waiting to challenge or control a ball. And they were saying, you know, this is really to address that kind of thing. More kind of sophisticated animation blending.
Yeah.
What an exciting point to start off with.
It is, isn't it? But it's one of those important things, like you say, that when you spend a few hours with a game, as you definitely will if you pick up FIFA, you know, that you will really come to, you know, notice. Appreciate, maybe loathe. You know, so it depends if it's a good or a bad thing.
Exactly. And I just think that, again, it's the fact that it's unglamorous isn't necessarily a bad thing. This is quite fundamental stuff. And kind of related to that, number 2, new player archetypes. Now, they're talking a lot about the personality, getting personality into your animations this year. And that does involve, I think there's going to be, in the same way that, you know, they did like their face scanning, and the players looked amazing. But obviously they can't do it for everyone. No. And so, you know, you might buy a player on Ultimate Team, and then the shock of realising, oh my, he's generic. And they're saying that this year that they're full body motion capping people, doing loads of different sprints and stuff. And they're saying it's kind of more possible now because they don't need as much information to be put into their system. So they don't need... So they showed, obviously, Ronaldo as a cover star. Yeah. They showed Ronaldo doing it. And they didn't need him for, like, you know, 2 days of doing all these different sorts of runs. It was like an hour of just jogging about. And then they have him in the game. So his very distinctive hands, you know... Yeah. Running style, you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm doing it.
Well, just imagine Ronaldo, and it's that.
But his hands, his fingers are together. It's like he's trying to fly. Yeah. And that looks, I think that the idea is they're going to be bringing in some more as well. But to give a kind of, I think, once that was in the game, you know, they're trying to bring more personality to everybody else as well. So what they did was they have introduced more physical archetypes. Okay. So it used to be that in terms of animations, there was one type, and it was simply applied to every physical type of player in the game. So regardless if you were big or little. Yeah, you would just move quicker. Yeah. You know, like to keep up with someone who's the same speed as you. Yeah, sure. And now they have got more realistic, you know, people take longer strides or shorter strides depending on which of these 5 archetypes they are. And it just means that there are 5 different pools of animation to draw from. And in combination with the fact that now that they're updating, or the ability to update animation every frame instead of every kind of step, it just leads to a situation where, you know, it just feels a bit snappier. Yeah. And on top of that, you get to run like Ronaldo if you want to. Yeah. So talking specifically with number 3 now about having the ball. Okay? Yes. And I didn't play a ton of FIFA 17 for the reasons I'm about to explain, which were I like slowing down play and looking for the right pass, really satisfying through ball, maybe just faking somebody out, looking to give the ball inside and then just turning and then giving it inside. If I was a player, I'd be Moussa Dembele.
Oh, okay. Oh, sure. Sure you would, man. No FIFA worries.
Form. Yeah. People have said that.
Yeah.
And so the dribbling overhaul this year, I think that PES probably succeeded at doing this more last year.
Right.
We've been playing a bit of that lately. But there's been a dribbling overhaul. This is our point number 3, and it feels great. Okay, there's good dribblers have, obviously you've got to pick the right player. Good dribblers have got now faster animations, so they literally react quicker than defenders, which you hope they're going to balance it enough so that it doesn't feel unfair being the defender. You're just like, it's Moussa Dembele, or it's Eden Hazard, or it's someone who is very good at keeping hold of the ball and going past players. And what this means is you can, for the first time that I can really remember, you can beat players in one-on-one situations just by changing direction. You don't have to use skills, So you give it this way, then the responsiveness just means that you can just move back inside, and you get the idea of like a little drop shoulder, or it just feels really good. And like I say, I did it with some players and it worked, and I did it with some players and it didn't work. And the other thing, that when you make small corrections now, you move the ball and you don't move your player around the ball, which is it's huge for me, because I feel like I used to try and slow the ball up in midfield, and I used to try and protect the ball, even using the protect the ball button.
Yeah.
Strength. And you would, if you move the stick, you'd move around the ball itself, and the ball was vulnerable.
Yeah.
And now every input onto the stick is moving the ball rather than your player around the ball.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I think, that's that to my brain anyway. That's how I want to be playing.
Well, it's one of them things where they showed the video again of last year's game, and you're just like, that is wrong. Wait, thanks for fixing it. I've made this an entire point because I like this so much. But point number 4 is just that slow dribble is back.
Whoa.
On L1.
Yeah.
I think I might be the only person who uses it, but I really like it.
Yeah.
Just slowing stuff down, just putting my foot on the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're going to play the game at my pace.
Yeah. But you can really make some people look stupid like that as well, which is a lot of fun, and ultimately what FIFA's all about.
Well, I've got a lot of catching up to do, because boy did I look stupid last year. Okay, number 5, emphasis on dramatic moments.
Okay, that sounds great, but what does that mean?
Well, what it can't mean is just that you get to score loads of ace goals. But I think what they've done
Why can't I mean that?
Well, they were quite careful about how they spoke about this, but I think what they've done is that they've tried to tune volleys and long shots, not so that they necessarily score much more often, but just that there's a realistic range of how close they get, which makes it feel exciting. And I do think that, there were some bangers going on. And I think that they basically felt like they had created a game which was too stringent with those sorts of exciting moments.
Right.
It's one of the things that people often say. Like the guy who made Football Manager, every now and again he pops up on Twitter when like a mad result happens and said, if that had happened in Football Manager, I'd be getting abuse from
Right.
Crazy stuff happens in football, and FIFA is supposed to be a conduit for that. It still needs tuning. I was playing, I took Jay along, my kid who plays a lot of FIFA, and he played about 3 or 4 games and realised that if he got the right player on the edge of the box and did the right sort of shot, the keepers were at such a distance from the line that he could score almost every time.
Right.
So we were having, I was better at dribbling, we were having some great games.
Yeah.
And then he started winning 5.
Then he'd take the ball away from you and score goals immediately.
And we stopped playing quite soon after that and went home.
Makes sense.
So that was good, but there's more. But it feels exciting again. Football's supposed to be exciting.
Yeah, definitely.
Some really specific points, Dave. Number 6. What would you say about crossing the ball last year, specifically from corners?
It was different, very different.
It was loopy.
It was loopy.
And I'm glad they said it when we were there. You know what I mean? They were just like, it was pretty loopy, and everyone was like, yeah, it was pretty loopy.
Yeah.
Man. So they've again the ability to do more driven crosses, and also my favourite sort of cross, which they've tried to get into the game every now and again. It's clearly like a passion project kind of thing where one member of the FIFA team is like, this sort of pass. Last year it was like a specific sort of through ball, and this year they were talking about angled crosses, maybe just from about level with the box, or maybe a bit deeper.
Yeah.
Which go, they swing into maybe on the penalty area, and they just beat the first defender, and then the striker can run onto it.
Yeah.
So they were like, that's difficult to do in our game, and we really wanted to get that in this year. And that was just kind of an example of the more dynamic kind of driven curl crosses that you can do.
Right.
Last year, you had time to sort of arrange a little party underneath the ball before I got into the penalty box. So that's gone.
Are they sticking with the same, the new style of taking corners though? Has been moving a little trajectory around inside the box?
That seemed to be gone, but that's the kind of thing that I think could change. So I'm not sure. I didn't get any confirmation on that because I didn't speak to anybody. But that was gone. And actually, just as a side note, penalties seem to have reverted to the old style of penalties.
Okay, that's interesting.
You didn't manage your run up in the same way. So that might be some good news for somebody. But the biggest point that I wanted to do, number 7, regionalisation, and in terms of crowds and atmospheres. And it made a huge difference. So they've worked loads on crowds. I mean, they have, because from time immemorial, people have been FIFA's cardboard cutout crowds have been a bit of a laughing stock. For the last few years, they've got better, but they were sort of laughing about it as well. They were still very choreographed, so you'd have like an entire stand of people doing all the same movements. And so they've put loads of different variation into it. They've got swarming now. If you score a goal, you can go and celebrate with your fans.
Nice.
Or if you just go close to them, they all kind of come down towards the pitch. But kind of even more impressive than that, and I guess this is something which will grow over the next few years, is that there's a real sense of the difference between different places. So they were saying there was one, I can't remember what the ground was, but it was like in South America, like in the Argentinian league, I think. Yeah. They had like just a car, like a showroom style car on a plinth at the end of the pitch, because I think the people win like their competitions.
Right, okay.
And they win them. And they had Spain, they had tons of ticker tape all over the pitch. They had, I think, like the Major League Soccer, and it was like a Californian, like a lower kind of stadium walls, but like a real kind of orange Californian glow, because I think they have a lot of evening games. Yeah. And it was just kind of getting that sense of like football looks and feels different wherever you are.
Absolutely, yeah.
And they were trying to get more of that in the game rather than it all feeling exactly the same, which is, I guess, it's like a luxury, it's like one of the things you can do once you fix dribbling.
Yeah. But again, like it's just, it's just the sheen on FIFA. Like they just keep polishing it harder and harder it looks better and better. Sells you football, like sells the dream of football.
It's so entwined with football now, and I think that just the way that we all live our lives in terms of the constant streams of information, FIFA's really latched onto something which I don't know. I mean, we go back and forth. I think that we're split in the office, FIFA versus PES still. PES is still obviously a very good game. I just wanted to say, I guess Ben Wilson, who's a friend of ours and works, he works for Games Radar now, but he and his thing last year for his review, he kind of said like, here's loads of stuff that FIFA does that we always take for granted. And it was like a list of really great stuff. And I feel like regionalisation and that kind of atmosphere is easy to just go, yeah, of course it does that. Yeah. Along with loads of other things. So, I don't know. I'm pretty excited about FIFA. We're going to have more videos. We're going to play it at E3, Dave.
Absolutely,
you get to play it as well. So, we're also going to play PES. We're going to stack the two up together. We're going to give you more videos about icons, which are coming to PlayStation, formerly Legends, for the first time this year, and also a bit about the Journey 2. So stay tuned to the channel for that, and stay tuned to the channel all this week, because we are currently at E3. We've got loads of videos coming towards you.